Welcome to your calming moment of zen. All the little things are mosquitoes, the slightly bigger things are ticks. Everybody thinks she's nice, but when she's angry at me in the morning, she apparently releases about 500 mosquitoes at me. And then as soon as we get control of those, she does it again and again. This is how you work with relationship issues in Minnesota, apparently.
Good morning.
And here's Taters in denial of the fact that anything has to happen. Framed with ticks crawling behind you. Hopefully on the outside. So how many mosquitoes were there? Well... Just don't move and maybe they'll go away. So the good news is we were actually able to manage coffee this morning because we could reach the stove outside without having to sacrifice Blondie to all the bloodsuckers. The bad thing is the mosquitoes still aren't going away. So just as soon as she wakes up a little more, we're going to have to smear ourselves with as much of that lotion as we can, armor up, and charge out into the ticks. But it's okay, Jen, what could go wrong? We've already had like ticks, beavers, everything. It's just smooth sailing. So if you're screaming at your screen why we aren't using DEET everywhere, there is a reason there. DEET dissolves plastic and it tends to be really bad on the camping gear, and we need this stuff to last. So instead we usually use Picardin, which is considered a lot healthier, safer. We don't have permethrin on our clothing. I normally would. This time I came right off of another trial and there wasn't time to do Jen's too, so I figured in like solidarity I just wouldn't. I am kind of regretting that now, especially considering how many ticks I had to dig out once they'd started to dig in here. The alternative is, you know, we put the lotion on, once it washes off, we just have to be aggressive, check in and manually removing them. Fortunately, at least the ticks here are big ones. I was out on the AT where they have those little poppy seed ones that are almost impossible to see. These guys you can feel when they're moving around, mostly. So yeah, it may be a little while till we're in a hotel or something, but I am strongly considering doing the permethrin treatment when we do that. Unfortunately, it doesn't last real long, and when you're out here for long enough, you either have to reapply it constantly or you just kind of lose the effect. Normally, when we've had bad mosquitoes, like when we started the CDT at Glacier, it didn't last the entire time. It's just period, so, you know. And quite frankly, I prefer the barrier method, wearing rain gear and a head net rather than chemicals. Easier on the gear, healthier, but when they get so bad, you kind of do whatever you can. I had the heavy mosquitoes in Florida, and one of the things that helped was basically taking the fly off in the morning because it doesn't give them a refuge. We still have a lot of them out here, but it's actually improving a little bit. That's the porta potty at this one. The quote-unquote good news is after the initial horror of, oh my God, I'm covered with ticks, you kind of get used to it. It's like anything, you know, you step into water and it's like it floods your feet and it's horrible initially, and then 5 minutes later, you're just kind of going along. It's just more exhausting. Like I said yesterday, I was just so tired from pushing off everything because I was having to use like full body on that kayak paddle. And then to have to kind of keep all the layers on, be sweaty inside the rain gear, and be constantly fighting ticks. And every time we stop, finding more of them tends to be a little more exhausting. There are arguments for doing this starting later. I know a few people that started in, you know, August, September, or earlier, because obviously you'd get a relief from some of the heat and things like that. For us, we didn't have a choice. This is Jen's summer. We had just enough to do it together, so that's why we started when we did. And honestly, from the research I did, it looked like no matter when you start, you're going to have some pluses and some minuses. So that's being outdoors, you know. Any sort of long hike, you can't fully avoid the weather. It's not like a backpack where you're like, okay, let's move it from this weekend to next weekend and it won't rain. It's going to rain and you're going to get lots of stuff. This is also the first time since I got off the AT where it's humid enough where this was wet, and you put it on in the morning and get kind of that pleasant blast of ammonia. Camping. It's glorious, isn't it? This is what all those little Instagram accounts that just say, living my best life, are missing out on. Our strategy as far as clothing, since we don't want to leave it out to be infested, is we've been putting what we're wearing up there. And then as we're watching our TV show and eating dinner, we can watch the ticks come off, kind of pick them clean. Seems to work fairly well. I was also showing Jen, I had looked at Headwaters videos when I was looking for some information, and there was, you know, Dale, the older guy who did it, and his had like a couple hundred views. And then there was one that had, you know, 800 some thousand views on it. And it was because it was a couple and the woman was in the front and had her top off facing away, and that was the thumbnail. Typical internet, thirsty internet, right? I keep joking about that because, you know, showing skin out here in currently, I still think we should do that same thumbnail. I think it would get even more because it's sexy female back yet covered with ticks and mosquitoes. You can get like the close-up. We can do some cinematography here. This is why we're not famous on the internet. She just gotta hire a model. And now I am ready to emerge from the tent and have a rather miserable visit to the bathroom. So I find on longer trips like this, it's important to have smaller goals so you don't get discouraged on the fact that we have like 2,000 miles. So today's goal, Blondie, no ticks on my penis. If we accomplish that, it's already better than yesterday.
Cool.
And here we are in the lap of luxury with toilets everywhere. One of us woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, drank 2 cups of coffee, and spent, an hour and a half editing videos, doing narration, stuff like that. The other person made the coffee, did not drink any of the coffee, and then went back to sleep and started making, noises like you were dreaming about little ticks all over you. But don't worry, she didn't talk nearly enough on Taters Tuesday, so she doesn't get to be silent all Wednesday like she usually did. Do you know how many expectations there were around Taters Tuesday? I almost got like a musical introduction dance number by some guys in Africa. Didn't. It's money. She doesn't like that we don't have that much. So if I spend it on cool things, she disapproves. I spent it on those Tater seal of disapproval stickers, and she disapproved of that. But all I do is flash up the sticker. So it really worked. Capitalism is only good if it's on cute things. Consumerism. Okay, only had to pull 1 tick out of my leg this morning while getting ready, which we can either count as an improvement or assume that I missed some. We'll see later. We are still getting a little later start than usual. Normally we would be moving by, 8 o'clock. It's just we wanted to wait for the mosquitoes to ease out a little. Yesterday it was the rapids past Venken that cost us so much time just walking the boat. You know, you're not going as fast as you are if you're floating. Looking ahead on the DNR maps, which show all the things on the river in this section, this is labeled as a hazard section, but it says abundant vegetation. And look where we are now, abundant vegetation. But there is water, we can paddle, it's fine. Jen is still struggling to wake up because she didn't have coffee. Sorry, you can't get your Panera Unlimited sips out here. I, on the other hand, had 2 coffees, and a 2 coffee day is much better than a 1 coffee day. We might try and reach a 3 coffee day at some point here. But she released mosquitoes on me every time she made me coffee, so pluses and minuses. And we are off, and if we are very, very lucky today, not only will there be no penis ticks, but Matt will actually get to use his paddle instead of playing American Gladiator with that horrible, I think it must be like lead or uranium in that paddle. I'm thinking, oh look, there was another beaver or something. I think that she literally asked for the heaviest paddle that existed in all of Boundary Waters and gave it to me. Prepping for this, I was worried that the big water sections were just going to get so monotonous. It's just so nice to actually be on the water and moving though, and not jumping in and out every 20 seconds for the moment. And this is what we get, just commenting how nice it was, and beaver bog. Well, it's a beaver dam, which usually is a foul-smelling beaver bog on one side or the other. There's also a lot of dead fish in these. Okay, we're slightly happier. We've even come out of our bug nets. Look at us looking like we're on a normal paddle trip and not going through a swamp somewhere. So the DNR map listed this as abundant vegetation, and I was having like horrible visions of, endless trees we were having to push through. And by push through, I mean Taters driving me face first through all the brush and all the bugs. But
I'm getting better.
yeah, she's playing Grand Theft Auto on her phone at night, I guess.
Yeah, this isn't a hazard zone at all. This is just nice and pretty.
She said it. Now we're going to go around the corner. I said it wasn't that bad when we, got past that portage, and then that was when it got so bad for so long. I think this is possibly the best stretch of the river yet. This is both really pretty, and the map says there's something labeled as rapids, but we just passed some, and we did not hit anything, which for us in this boat at this river height seems to be kind of impressive. So, and there's a portage. This is really cool, though I was thinking this is kind of a less awesome Florida swamp paddle. Just because the vegetation out there is even more epic. And the water's darker. Oh, and will Jen hit this? Taters is still loving the dragonflies. Things have been getting a little, we've actually been having to steer through here, but this is doable. That thing yesterday, it was just, oh, hey look, bird dinner. Yesterday, there was just no winning. There wasn't enough room to paddle. It wasn't deep enough to get a paddle in. Oh well. I could do this for another 30 miles today. And by this, I mean talk on camera while you paddle, Jen. This is both beautiful and unfortunately it has been a return to bottom scrapers. And our boat has these patches that I'm a little worried about. Day 4, the day the boat went down.
And another little obstacle here, we were debating going under that and climbing over the logs or pulling the boat over this. So we're going for pulling the boat over this.
When I've been teaching rock climbing, I tend to tell people there is doing it and doing it pretty and saying that we often do the latter, but hey, gets it done, that would be. So we have actually both been just really happy this morning. Hey, look, the bugs are down enough. We're in our base layers again. And also we're actually like making reasonable progress. It's 11:30 and we've come 10 miles and we're not afraid the boat's going to crack and we're not absolutely miserable. So stay tuned in about 15 minutes when it starts pouring on us or whatever the next thing. Couple killed by a freak tornado out in wherever.
Gosh,
oh my gosh. Oh, we just excited him out of Vanessa. Reminds me of the PCT. Remember you stick your head under that one bridge and they all come out and do this?
Yeah.
They don't sound too happy with you though. This has both been really nice and we've been joking that we wouldn't even know if we were going in circles. The river winds back and forth so much, you don't get a sense of, oh, we're traveling in such and such a direction. And with the haze, there's no sign. But apparently we are still headed towards the ocean, currently by going northeast, because that's how we roll here. So we think this is bear den put in. And the thing that we both commented on is everything. I mean, the various docks we're seeing, the camps, they're not real well maintained compared with something like, you know, Swanee or other things we've done. So we're kind of surprised. We don't know what the time is around this, but you know, this is the Mississippi. Big deal. And we are just, Jen is learning about Mennonites. I am relaxing with my feet off and trying to see if I can get any sort of internet. I was kind of afraid of that. Today's been just a little too pleasant. Now it looks like we're in for some rain. Okay, on the plus side, think about how much we're saving on sunscreen here. It's just been like this all day, guys. Chatterbox, she just... Do you remember, because you didn't do anything on Tater Tuesday, you've got to still... So it rained for a while the first day, not much heavier than this. And then I don't think it rained at all yesterday, did it? Yeah. It's just been kind of humid. On the plus side, there is no wind and it is warm enough, no biggie. Also, I think ticks can drown, so I'm a big fan of water in all places right now. So this is Fox camp up here. Jen was just making a comment at that last stop when it started raining that if there was a shelter, she'd go hang out in it. But we're actually pushing on. We're finally feeling like we're making good progress here. So we're hoping to maybe make Iron Bridge. It's another one of those potential vegetation sections, but that's been really hit or miss. And it's just water. Wipes off. I'm pretty sure I had some beaver poop on here, and that's now like washed off. Wasn't smelling or tasting that good at all. What? Judgy McJudgerson back there. Here I am just sharing from the heart, and she's like, oh. Still raining. We passed Pine, so we are committed to Iron Bridge at this point. which should just be another 7 miles, and with how we're moving, that's fine. Past that, probably a little too far. Haven't really seen much in the way of places we could have camped outside of those. The last river camp also had a sign saying, please stay in, only designated campsites. And it looks like after Iron Bridge, we are going to be getting a little more urban for a little while. That's getting within range of Bemidji, and we are leaving the national forest. But it's okay, Taters is still smiling. Also, we get cookies and candy at Bemidji. Maybe pizza, food. Blondie, I've been out here so long. I miss real food.
Oh my gosh, you haven't been out here that long. We
So
need some more
long.
peaches, though. Those peaches are really good.
If every tick counts as a unit of time, we've been out here a very, very long time.
So we got to a point where it spread out. There were a few different channels per the track that we have. This is the right channel.
Wiggle power!
Wow, nice, Matt. I'm impressed.
I have wiggle power.
All right, so that channel did open up right after that spot, but we're guessing that if it's lower water, the plants that are under us become exposed and a lot more of it becomes like that.
So you need a lot more wiggle power?
That's the only reason we can think why this whole area is marked as a vegetation hazard.
I'm kind of wondering if they dredge it or something. So we are both really wet at this point. We have traffic noise off in the distance, and we have also had thunder off and on, which kind of makes you wonder. It's like we can't get off the water super easy if a thunderstorm suddenly hit. So that could get exciting. Oh. I finally got your beavers on film. Oh, they're everywhere. Oh, this is where they start like gnawing through the boat. Channel's mostly gone. It hasn't been too hard to nav. But we are starting to soak through a little. I was thinking that we might actually grab ponchos up ahead because it's not like we're exerting as much. We just need something a little more waterproof. And it's not too cold right now, but if it was really windy, it's a lot harder to stay warm when you're sitting versus when you're hiking. See the Swanee trip? We were just having memories of our aquarium, which had hair algae at one point. We had a big reef aquarium. Basically like this, except ours was maybe a little longer. 5:30, and the good news is that's Iron Bridge. The bad news is we've got a little bit of traffic noise, but meh. This is the sort of rain that I kind of describe as misery rain because there's not like individual clouds where it like slams you and leaves. It's just been raining since, when were we at that break? Like 2:30?
2 o'clock.
Oh yeah. See, Tater's working so hard there. Oh, she just rammed into a giant thing of algae, so she's really working them arms. I would, but the channel jet. Okay, and that looks like about what we've been expecting. I don't know what parallel universe we went into, but oh my god, it has a landing. That's dirt. She's not sinking up to her belly button. I mean, I did have another leech that came in with me, but he was good. Oh no, all the water went to the back. Oh, you're going to be underwater. At least there's still mosquitoes. This has just been a very therapeutic day. First 2 days were really rough. The rain, it was a little cold, but this actually felt more like what we were looking for, being able to actually paddle. This camp is a little rough shape, but pretty nice.
So we flipped over our boat and realized that we had picked up all kinds of creatures. This is Camp Iron Bridge. And on the way in, Matt said something I have never heard him say before. I really hope there's a shelter. It's gonna be nice to get warm and dry in this very nice shelter, the Dream Cave.
Yeah. Ooh, good talking.
The rain cleared up just about right after we made camp. We have this gorgeous view Tons of birds singing all around us. And not a single tick that I have seen other than the ones that we imported with us on our tent. Yeah, well, those came on the tent from last night, but I don't think I've seen a single tick from this area. Hallelujah. Only small downside is a little bit of traffic noise in the distance, but on the whole, this seems like a lovely place to spend the night. Home sweet home for the night.
Looks really peaceful if you ignore all the ticks that are just crawling everywhere.